Hello, everybody. I am a couple of minutes late. I got distracted and forgot what was going on. I've been running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Um, it has been a crazy day. My daughter just started her first day at work, and so I had to go take her and drop her off at work, and then get back and get everything set up and yada 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 da 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 da. And so I am getting everything together right now. I apologize for being a little bit scattered at the second. You'll have to forgive me. But your Uncle Fishy loves you. I'm doing my best to try and get everything in here together for you. It's good to see everybody. Glad you're here. Let me get over to the chat and turn things off there. Get that going. All right. Um, all right. We are here. We are at it. We are live. Katie messaged me already today to tell me that she's going to be a little bit late because she's running around doing the things. Oh, man. J Man messaged me the one day J Man actually had off of work that he could sit there and tune in was Tuesday, and I was too ticky to be able to do the show. That made me sad. That made me sad. Missed out on J Man getting to hang out with us and help create a new character. Um, but sometimes it happens. It's sad but true. Sometimes you Uncle Fishy just has the bad days and I can't do it. And I was sitting there that morning looking at myself in the mirror and I'm shaking and I'm washing my face. I'm like, come on, you could do this, you could do this, you could power through. And I'm looking at myself sitting there twitching and jerking in the mirror, and I'm like, you know what? I can't. I'm not going to kill myself for it. I'm not going to make myself miserable. It just is. It's not worth the amount of hassle. So we're going to take the day off. We're going to go easy on ourselves. We're going to say, nah, we can't do it today. And it sucked, but it gave me time to do stuff I needed to do. Gave me time to catch up on some sleep and relax. And while your Uncle Fishy was supposed to be napping, and the dog's barking at the door trying to get in and then barking at the door trying to get out because he can't make up his mind because he's a puppy, and I'm supposed to be napping and all these things. uh yeah, it stinks. um so while I'm trying to be napping, and my buddy Stephen Butler sending me all these awesome barbarian pics that he's working on, and then he's sending me Flash Gordon videos like the old Flash Gordon serials and stuff, and I'm trying to go to sleep and the dog's barking, and all of the sudden inspiration hit, and I got an idea for a whole new character, and I'm laying there trying to sleep, and I'm like, nope, 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 we're not going to do it. We're not going to create a new character right now. We're going to sleep so that our ticks are better. We're going to relax. But the idea keeps creeping in, and then next thing you know, there's a whole planet around him, and then there's princesses that need to be saved, and evil kingdoms, and monsters that have to be slain, and all this stuff. And so I had to get up and sketch him up, and then I had to sit down and write the whole first issue of his new book. And it's kind of killing me that this guy is just obsessing all of my processing power right now. Um, so I'm gonna let you in on my new creation that has just been filling my mind with wonder. And it is called the Crow Magnon. He is a savage from beyond the stars. He's from an alien race of primitive crowmen, and he's come here to, save the day. It's kind of like Conan meets Flash Gordon. Like he's a brutal savage that's saving the day and slaying monsters and overthrowing evil kings, not for the betterment of the entire world, but because, Ka bows down to no man. And it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm really excited about it. The world that I've got created for him is going to be so much fun. Um, so I was thinking maybe while we're at it today, we roll up a new character to go into his world. Maybe that might be fun. Let's see. Let's open a new page. We will go do sketchbook. I'm gonna have to put up. I'm gonna have to put a sketchbook together pretty soon and publish it because I have so much of this stuff. Save as School of Fish, episode 17, because we are counting the week that I wasn't here because that makes it easier to keep track of. All right, so let's get over here and share ye old screen. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. That's not the right screen. There we go. Allow. What is up, Kyron? Glad you're here. Glad you're here, man. Glad you can hang out with us so we can create a new character together for a new story that I got that I'm working on. All right, let's turn off the Fishtastic Wonder screen for a second. And let's turn on the Wheel of Powers here. And Kyron says he's glad I'm feeling better. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And, that's the problem with my sleep. And one of the many things, that makes my Tourette's harder to deal with is not getting enough sleep or not eating enough or not drinking enough. All things that come with ADHD and Tourette's and all the other issues that I have. Like, I will get hyper focused on working and completely forget to drink water or to eat. And, all these things make it worse. But then my sleep, when my sleep gets messed up, and my beautiful, sweet, kind, generous, thoughtful, loving wife rolled over in bed at midnight the other day, like 4 or 5 days ago, and woke me up right after we gone to sleep. And I was up for like an hour or two before I fell back asleep again. Next day, I woke up at midnight again. This time I had to get out of bed because I was awake for 3 or 4 hours, went back to sleep, and then eventually it got bad enough that I woke up midnight, like after having 10 minutes of sleep, woke up at midnight, and then I was just up for the rest of the night and the rest of the day, and finally crashed. And this got some sleep the next day finally, and really helped make up for it. So, all right, let's see. We're gonna roll up a new character. I'm not even gonna fool with the camera on the dice tower because it's been glitching on me. How many powers are? Woo, 3 powers. All right. So we're going to come over here to the wheel and we're going to put it up into groups of 3. And let's see, 14 is as high as that goes. So, all right, let's let's roll a 6-sided and a 10-sided and see what we get. 2 6s. Oh, wait a minute. I'm on the wrong list. I'm not on superpowers. I was on accents. 3. All right. Superpowers. Oh, we had a lot more than that. We had 34 superpowers. Let's see what 12 got us. Augmented speed, major telekinesis, and shadow armor. We did shadow armor. We also got 2 6s. Anything multiplication. Oh, see, I've created characters with all of those recently. So, all right, let's go again. Let's just look and see what we got and see what we want to do. Winged flight, we've already got that. Mechanical genius, control magnetic field, super strength, technopath, mimic other powers, super speed. That could be cool. That could be really cool for this world. All right, there we go. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, kiddies of all ages. We got our answer right there. And it is going to be awesome, baby. It's going to be something kind of cool. All right, let's turn on the Fishtastic Wonder screen here. And we're going to go to the side-by-side view so we can see better what we're doing. And we're going to make notes because we're forgetful and we forget these kind of things if we don't. We are making a technopath. Uh, Mimics others powers and super speed. Oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm getting some cool ideas. I am getting some really cool ideas. Let's throw this up here too. All right. Now let's go to power modifiers and we'll do just one and see what we get. See if we want to use it or not. Power modifier. Limited amount of power. Okay. I'm liking that. That's that is adding right into the idea that I already had. And this is going to be so cool. All right, let's see what we get for accents just to see. Just to see. We don't have to, but just to see. Bionic implants. Oh my God, I am so happy right now, baby. Everything is coming up fishy. Oh, man, we already getting spammers on here. I don't need spammers on my show. In the comment section, that's not how we do. All right, I'm gonna roll for a familiar just to see what happens. See if we get something cool. We're just gonna see. Dragonfly. All right, let's do groups of two and see. Rabbit owl, giant mole, monkey, cat, monkey, horse, gorilla. uh, shadow. I did a shadow bullfrog, black bear, skunk, robotic bats. This is bird, small, rat, mole, coyote, squirrel. Eh, I'm not gonna worry about a familiar right now because we got so much other cool stuff going on here. All right, skadoosh. Here we are. We are back on with our technopath that can mimic others' powers. He has super speed, but he has limited powers and bionic implants. Y'all just don't even know how happy this makes me right now. And I'm trying to use a mouse that doesn't work on this because I didn't bring my mouse with me like I normally do. So I'm not fighting with two mice on the table. I forgot to bring my mouse because I was in a hurry running back here. So, in the world of Ka, the Cro Magnon, which Kyron's seen it. I showed it to Kyron, talked with him about the idea as soon as I came up with him. In the world of Ka, he's living in this planet that's like after the fall of man, it's millions of years in the future. New species have sprung up and evolved and all of this stuff, but they're also remnants of the civilization that used to be here. In some places they're still living in the remnants of the old cities, kind of like, the ruins of ancient Greece or something. In some places they're overgrown forests. In some places all traces of humanity are gone and new species live in their place. But there are small groups, and usually looked at as sorcerers and stuff, that have spent their lives studying this ancient technology, and it's almost basically a mix of sorcery and stuff now with the high the heightened level that technology got to before the fall of man, and AIs and all of this stuff, and robots and cybernetic enhancements before the fall of man, that if you can tap into this stuff and learn how to use it, like, you could be extremely powerful. And I'm seeing a being probably left over from before the fall of man. Okay, there we go. This is a scientist from before the fall of man, somebody that was incredibly brilliant, incredibly egotistical, your Tony Stark, Elon Musk's kind of guys. And he was too brilliant and important, and to let himself just die like humans do. So he built this compound, I'm thinking, into the side of a waterfall. So he's got a limitless supply of power generating abilities, and he built this gigantic supercomputer base into the base of this mountain, almost kind of like the giant supercomputer from, like, Superman 2, was it? I think, with Richard Pryor. Uh, this giant computerized base inside this waterfall for the unlimited power. And added bionic implants and stuff to himself, and there's this gigantic reactor inside of it that powers him. And for eons, he's just been in this reactor being charged and in sleep mode and stuff. And now that society has started to grow back up and there's, you know, kingdoms and stuff in the world, he's woken up again. And with his cybernetic enhancements and, you know, his nanobots and all of his holographic abilities that he's got, he can mimic just about anything from somebody else's powers and abilities. uh the processors and the cybernetic enhancements give him super speed, and he can think really fast and process faster than anybody else around him. But he's got a limited power. Like, he can only survive outside of the reactor for so long, and then he has to go back in and charge. So he can come out and wreak havoc for, you know, an hour or two, and then he's tapped out and has to go back in and charge. And I see him ruling the area around him in fear, and he comes out, you know, like this powerful dragon of sorts. Like, you know, he's this intimidating, terrifying creature, this sorcerer that has all these skills and abilities that are unheard of in their world and can do amazing things that nobody's seen. And he comes out very scary, but he's got that limited time that he can be out before he's, you know, his charge is gone and goes back. He's trying to keep anybody from looking behind the curtain and seeing, you know, how weak he is with his limited power. Absolutely just created like the main overarching villain for Ka the Crow Magnet on this freaking show right here. Did not have this thought up before. I have some other bad guys thought up. I have, you know, princesses and stuff to save and whatnot thought up, but absolutely just thought up the big bad. This is the, not Lex Luthor, more Kang the Conqueror or Ming the Merciless. Like, this is the big evil king that is going to wreak havoc and rule the world if Ka doesn't stop him. And the only reason Ka wants to stop him is because Ka bows to no man. Not because it's the right thing to do, not because the people deserve to be free. Ka bows to nobody. That's the only reason that he does it. You say you're bigger and more powerful than him? Nah, that's not going to stand. So, in contradiction to Ka's massive frame and gigantic hands and, you know, his giant bestial primitive type form, uh this guy definitely needs to be slender. And he needs to be slender and skinny armed and stuff. Maybe he's got, you know, big gauntlets or something that, you know, kind of make him look a little more powerful, but he's slender and he's relying on his tech and stuff more than he is his physical form. Though I think his physical form would be distractingly slender. Like, he would probably be much more powerful than you would think just by looking at him. Like, if he grabbed you by the throat and lifted you up off the ground, that wouldn't be surprising with his cybernetic enhancements. But like, to just look at him, you wouldn't think he was all that strong, is the kind of thing I'm envisioning. And usually my first sketch is what I go with, but here lately I've been trying to take a little time and come back and refine ideas later on. And I got to admit, one thing that your Uncle Fishy's really bad about is I tend to create a lot of characters on the page, and I don't like doing that. I would rather have time to think them out beforehand and get them all, you know, perfected before they go on the page. But most of the time, I just, you know, I don't have time. There's not the money there. You know, the client doesn't want to pay for the time it would take to do that. They they want to get it done, and get on with it. And so, comics is not the best paying gig in the world. So we got to work fast sometimes. And so a lot of times, the first time I draw a character is on the page for the first time, and I have to keep going back and looking at that first page to see how I drew them and what details did I put on them, and yada yada yada. And I would love to not have to do that all the time. So I'm trying with this idea particularly. I'm trying to do lots of sketches the last couple of days when I have a free second, uh, to to see if I can refine the look before ends up on the page. And he's changed a little bit from my very first drawing, and he's a little bit more bestial than he was in the beginning. But I'm digging that also. I'm loving the fact that he looks much more interesting than he would have. I want like priestly looking robes kind of thing is what I'm going for. Like I want him to emulate that feel of a sorcerer as he's covering up all of his inhuman enhancements and whatnot. But also, after all these centuries and stuff, he thinks so much of himself that, he is the high priest now. He is the ruler. He is, the end all be all in his mind. And all of this may change, but I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud on the page right now and giving myself room to do cool things and play with shapes and forms. And I don't know. It all may change. I like the idea of him being very slender armed for sure. I don't know if he's got gloves or gauntlets. I can't tell, but he can. I'm just making it all up as I go, letting the magic happen, letting the moment take me. And who knows? Oh, oh, I just remembered an old design that I had for some bad guys that I loved that kind of mimicked the high priest kind of feel. They were time zealots for a time travel story that I was working on to be the foes of my hero in that story, and they were trying to figure out time travel that comes naturally to this guy. And and it was not working out in their best interest, and everybody they tried to send through time ended up dying. Yeah, I like that. I dig that. That gives it like big, like he's trying to look gigantic and imposing and hide the fact that he is not. Like I kind of actually like the idea of like maybe he's almost a corpse inside this thing. Oh, a cybernetic zombie. For, I've got cybernetic zombies in another story idea. Don't want to be too matchy matchy, but if he's nearly dead, I don't know. Oh man, a skull face would be awesome. Oh man, a skull face would be so cool. Thinking long, skinny head because cause is so wide. I don't know if we need to like give him sunken eyes and stuff and a very skeletonized look, like not a skeleton but looks, very gaunt, very just, what you can see through the visor looks very skeletonized. Oh, and I love the idea of him being old. Gotta have long earlobes if he's old. Oh, yeah, we zoomed in a little bit too much. That head's too small. Him's little pinheaded evil lord is what him says. Him's little pinhead. Poor little pinhead evil genius. Yeah, you little head all shrunk in the wash there, pinhead. What's wrong? All right, here we go. So he's completely covering up. Ooh, that would even be kind of cool to like watch him come out of his charging station and he's like all cybernetic and a head in a jar and like all cybernetic replacements, and then watch his tech like clothe him as a king, you know. Ooh, maybe he even has like enslaved servants that are working his laboratory that are like, that he's been training for years, these slaves to tend to the machines and stuff. They have no idea what they're doing, but they know like if this dial gets to this mark, we turn this dial and let more water in, you know, like they don't know why, but they know that's what they're supposed to do. Oh, yeah. And he keeps himself completely contained and separated from everybody in this thing and covers himself up with all these ceremonial garb and whatnot. Facebook user says, I love the dynamic of huge hulking heroes versus slender villains that match the strength and abilities of their heroic counterparts in other ways. Oh, yeah. Like seeing two big muscular dudes go at it and pound on each other is cool, but it's so much cooler to have a villain that challenges the hero in other ways. Like that's part of why I love Lex Luthor because, he's usually not just trying to duke it out with Superman, though every once in a while he'll figure out a way to. But, he's outsmarting him. He's putting him up against challenges that make it very hard for him to succeed. And, he can't just pound his way through everything and win. I love that. I love that so much. Um, yeah, I am digging this. Oh, and I can use the other idea I've had, oh yeah. Okay, I'm digging it. I'm getting lots of idea because, like, as a creator, as a creative person, you get lots of ideas for things over the years, and they don't all pan out. You can't use all of them every time, or you get ideas for books that never happen, or, you know, you worked up ideas for a project that never happened. And it's fun to be able to pull from that mental clip art of all these other things and say, oh, wait a minute, that cool idea for the priests that I never used on that, I could turn around and use here, giving you Lex Luthor Mysterio vibes. Oh yeah. And that's part of what I'm digging about him too, is this idea of him keeping up these fraud appearances, like Mysterio, making himself seem like he's this all powerful god, and you know, keeping the people that settled underneath his waterfall over the centuries, keeping them in submission by thinking that he's this all powerful being that can do anything, and, can read minds and whatnot. But it's actually just surveillance drones that, he's got listening in on people, and, overhearing their conversations, and, and he can mimic people's powers and stuff. And, like, I'm thinking he's got hard light holograms and nanotech that lets him copy just about anything in the moment. So any challengers that come up against him, thinking like, oh, well, we've got a magic user that shoots fireballs, and, we've got, you know, I don't know, this gigantic gorilla warrior. When they come up against him, he can just use his hard light holograms and nanite generators to copy what they're doing, and scan them, mimic it, copy the effects of it, and throw it back at them. And, like, there is nothing you can throw at me that I cannot beat. And and when it comes to, like, trying to outsmart people and stuff, he's going to beat everybody. When it comes to full on savagery of Ka, that's where he's going to meet his match, because he can be evil and he can be heartless, but he can't be savage. Oh, I love this idea. This idea has been so much fun to play with. I'm liking this. I'm thinking something may change in the robes before he gets to his final form, but I'm digging the look. And then, of course, as always, I flip the screen. I have it set at the top as one of my main tools, so I can flip the screen. And then every little thing that might be just a hair out of proportion jumps out at me. And because of the way my computer is, the little tablet setting, everything came out just a hair skewed, which happens because I have my tablet set at a little bit of an angle. So when I'm looking at it, it looks right. But then I flipped it and everything was just a hair off because my tablet is turned. And which is just a bad habit that I get into, because it's easier for my hand to reach it when it's tilted a little bit, but then I'm not seeing it as accurately and as straight on. Um, I can already see right now for this guy, I will need to make a custom brush to be able to quickly paint, like, the pixelated holograms coming around him as he forms them and stuff. That would be so cool. Okay, now we are going to make a new vector layer. We're going to paint that layer black so that I know that it's line art. And let me change the way this is showing you. So see, like right here, you can have no color to your layers like they normally are, but I'll go in and use other color, and okay, and it makes that layer black. Makes it so easy for me to find that. My highlight layers are yellow, my shadow layers are purple, my perspective layers are always green. So when I have to go look for the perspective rulers, I know that's down on the green layer. I turn that off, the perspective rulers go off. Look at that! Little Katie from Scotland finally got home, got to tune in. Good morning, good afternoon, Katie. So glad you joined us. If y'all have not been checking it out, y'all need to check out Katie's new art stream, what Katie draws. Right now, you can find it on the UHS YouTube channel. It is so much fun to watch. I hate that I missed it yesterday because I was running around busy yesterday too, trying to do a billion things. But I went back and watched it. It was so much fun to watch. And it's like magic. Like people look at my artwork and think, "Oh, that's amazing. That's magic. I don't know how you just sit there and draw that." Watching her just paint it and things start to come into existence out of nothing and what colors she picks and then she starts getting into all these little details and all these little nooks and crannies and crevices. Oh my god, it is so fascinating to watch, and it is a completely different style of art. That's completely digital painting. It's a whole different way of approaching it than my comic book line art and then colors approach. And it may be exactly the direction that you want to take your art into. It may be what you've been missing from art streams like mine. Absolutely, you need to watch it. You need to check it out because it is really freaking cool. Uh, Katie, since you're joining in now, I showed everybody my idea for Ka the Cro Magnon that I had showed you, and we decided we decided that we were going to roll up a new character for that world because that's what I'm obsessed with right now, as hyperfixations will do with those of us that are neurodivergent. And and we rolled up the amazing combination of a technopath who can mimic other people's powers, has super speed, but has a limited amount of power and bionic implants. And we came up with this man, this super scientist genius from before the fall of man. And gotta love the hyperfixations. Absolutely. I've done some of my coolest work when I was hyperfixated on something and then dropped it and never did it again. Um, I'm hoping Kaw doesn't fall into that category because he's just too cool to not end up with a book in my hand soon. Um, but anyway, so this guy is a super scientist from before the fall of man who was just too brilliant to let himself die like normal mortals. So he filled his body full of bionic implants and built this gigantic supercomputer base into a waterfall so he would have unlimited power forever. And and then plugged himself into this thing and went to sleep for centuries. And when he woke up, he wakes up in this whole new world uh, after the fall of man, and there's all kinds of different aliens and different creatures have evolved. They're still humans, but you know, it's a much different world. And he found this society had grown at the base of the um, waterfall where his base is, and so he takes over and rules these people with an iron fist, turn them into his slaves, and anybody that has tried to come and free them, he uses his hard light holograms and nanites and stuff to mimic their abilities, and with his super processor brain, he's runs so much faster than them that he can outsmart everybody and very quickly beat them, and nobody has been able to stand up to his reign of terror. And he has very limited amount of power. He usually has to stay plugged into this gigantic generator to survive and to power up, this gigantic reactor that's built into this cave in this waterfall, and lived there for centuries and still has to plug himself in all the time. He comes out seeming all mighty and terrible and all this stuff, but in reality, like he's always on a time limit. He has to get back in. He can only stay out for so long. And he usually uses dramatics and things to make it seem like it was his choice to have to go back, but he absolutely has to go back or he'll die. Based off the look of just those two characters and the whole story you have going, I would 100% back that book. Love you, baby. All I need is you and 200 of your friends, and we'll be good to go, baby. I'm absolutely going to do this. It's just a matter of when, because I've also got bills to pay. And thank you so much, Katie. I really appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. But yeah, I got bills to pay and everything, and um, just had to take on a couple of jobs I wasn't expecting to have to take on. But the mortgages keep coming, and until other projects pay off that I thought would have already paid, I'm kind of stuck and got to make some money. So, taking on a couple of new books that I didn't expect to. But that's the life of an indie creator. Gotta make that Skrilla, make that cheddar. But yeah, this book is gonna be so much fun, man. This is just gonna be my love letter to all the old fantasy sci-fi, like the old Flash Gordon serials and Conan the Barbarian and Thundar the Barbarian and He-Man, and like, all those things that I love from my childhood, all these stories that inspired my imagination for hours as I was a kid playing in the sandbox and stuff with my action figures. Like, this is going to be my homage to those, and totally fun, not take itself too seriously, have a good time, rescue the hot buxom princess and beat the monsters and vanquish the evil forces, and just stomp around being a mighty badass. And I just, the more I play around with this character Ka, the more I just absolutely fall in love with him. And like, I just sat down to jot down some ideas, because like it literally came to me the other day, Tuesday, when I didn't do the show and I was trying to nap. This idea hit me and I wouldn't let go. And I got up and sketched him out, and he's only changed a little bit since that original sketch, and just fine tuning some proportions and the way his feathers and hair work. And um, just minor changes from that original one. And I just love the way he's looking. And I had some ideas. I was like, well, I better write this down before I forget it, because you know how it is. You think you're going to remember those ideas, and then you absolutely forget them. And I'm constantly finding, like, we just moved recently, and I'm constantly finding like old boxes and stuff that have notes for old story ideas and stuff that are brand new stories to me, because I do not remember ever having come up with them. And that has just sunk home how easy it is to forget this stuff if we don't write it down. Like, I pulled out a sheet of story ideas I had come up with for a role playing game, just prompts, and each one of them was a brilliant story idea that would make a great comic book. And I had no idea any of those stories existed. I didn't, they were not percolating on the back burner all these years like some stories are, which gives me a false sense of security. Like, because I've had some stories that had just been sitting there in the back of my brain for 20 years, it makes me think, oh, I don't have to worry about forgetting these things, because, I'll never forget them. It's too cool of an idea. That is absolutely 100% wrong. I have proven to myself time and time again, it doesn't matter how cool The idea is I will absolutely forget it if I don't write it down. And, with a couple of rare exceptions, I am going to forget it. So I make a note, I make a point to try and write things down now as often as I can and have a gigantic note in my phone that's like 40 pages long of just green zone story ideas. And that is not counting all the stories for all the other story ideas that I have that I'm probably never going to get to. I don't trust my brain to remember good ideas. Absolutely, man. And there's so many gems. And then when I go back looking over those gems later on, they spur me to all new ideas. So I have to write those down. And then when I'm looking through all these unrelated gems that happen sometimes years apart, they spur me to new ideas like, oh, if I take this and put them together and take this and okay, I'm going to chop it up and sprinkle it over the top a little bit. And then I'm going to knead it and twist it into a whole new thing. And now we have this really amazing idea that's all thanks to the fact that, you know, I stopped and took some notes. So, yeah, I have proven time and time again to myself now the importance of stopping and taking a note before I forget. And my wife's telling me all the time, like, write that down. You're going to forget it. Write it down. And she's there when I'm like, man, I had this really awesome idea on the way home from the store and I didn't put it in my phone because it was too awesome to forget. And now I forgot it. I can't even remember like what spurred the idea. Sometimes if I can remember what spurred it, I'll either remember the idea or end up with something very similar. But yeah, sometimes I'm really kind of digging that look. I was thinking I might have to change. I was going into this with the realization that I may alter this look drastically, but truth be told, I'm really kind of digging the way this is looking. I tell you, I am at one of the most awesome points in my career right now. It's amazing to me. I have made so many amazing friends that are so talented and getting to see them do such awesome stuff. And occasionally being able to join in on some of those awesome things and make really cool stuff for people to enjoy, which is an amazing feeling. And I am getting right now, I am getting the opportunity to bring out characters and put them into stories and have them see print that I have been working on these characters and had them in my back pocket. Some of them 35 years. Yeah, I mean, geez. Capital Punishment is like my main vigilante hero in the Green Zone world that you will see, later on. And gosh, I came up with him probably 89, 88, something like that. Like it's been a long time. And I just wrapped up work on two strips that are going to appear in A Kid in a Comic, which is a newspaper subscription service. It's like old school Sunday funnies, except the whole newspaper is the funnies and puzzles and comics and stuff. And and it's all going to help raise money for the Hero Initiative and the Inkwell scholarships, um, and so my oldest in more ways than one character that I've had forever is finally about to see print. And that is such an awesome feeling. I have had him in my back pocket for decades, waiting for the opportunity to get to use him. And now, because people have seen my work and liked my work and see my consistency, and I've managed to build a little bit of a reputation for putting out quality work fast. And now they reached out to me, people I didn't know, I don't talk to every day. Like, they reached out to me specifically just to try and get me on this project when they're bringing in big names that are working at Marvel and DC currently. And they're like, yeah, we absolutely wanted to get you in on this and see what you might have that you'd want to bring to the table. And that is so awesome. It is so humbling to be in the position. I just had a friend nominate me for my first award. Nothing saying I'm going to get it. There's a lot of amazing people going out for the same awards. But the fact that somebody appreciated my work enough to even submit it for an award was an amazing feeling. And getting to see all my friends succeeding and doing awesome things, and it's just such a cool place to be in. I am so excited for the way things are going. I'm so excited for my friends. I had a dear friend of mine contact me last night and tell me about an amazing opportunity she has, and I'm so excited for her, and just wish her nothing but unlimited success. It's an awesome place to be in, man. I'm so excited for the way things are going right now. And, you know, sometimes things might go slower than you want. Sometimes it might take years. I spent most of my adult life thinking I was never going to be able to do comics. I missed my shot when I was a kid. I had a couple of close calls, got a couple of job offers once or twice that fell through, and figured, I missed my shot. And then the whole world changed, and now it's never been easier to make your own comics. I It took my entire life for technology to catch up to the fact that now we can all make comics if we want to. And if you've got the skill set and you've got good ideas, you can make it happen now in a way you could never do before. It's freaking amazing. It took 40 something years for the world to catch up with what I wanted to do. But now I'm getting to live out my dream, and I'm so excited about it. So never, ever, ever, ever give up on your true passions. And, maybe right now isn't the right season, but let me tell you, baby, seasons change, and eventually it's going to come around and it's going to be your time. And you want to be ready to get to work when the season comes. Trust me. There's a clip for the TikTok for you. All right. This this looks so cool. I mean, I could think of maybe a couple. I may end up making a few tweaks, and I need to see I need to draw what a cybernetic body looks like underneath. But I'm thinking like head in a jug, maybe like lungs or something, and everything else is basically cybernetic. And oh man, this is coming out so cool. I'm so happy with this, and I'm trying to use the mouse that doesn't work on this computer. So we're going to save that so we don't lose it. We're going to flip it back over and make sure it still looks okay. It still looks okay. Let's let's give him just a little. Okay, that's a little bit. Just a little tweaky tweak. All right, now let me set this so you can see it easier. Okay, now I'm going to come down over here and I'm gonna click. I'm on my layer selected, my black layer that I know is my inks because I color coded it. And then I'm going to click the little lighthouse in the corner there, which makes that my reference layer. I'm going to come down below it. I'm going to make a new raster layer. And now I'm going to go to my selection tool and I'm going to select the outside area. I'm going to select between his legs, every place that needs to be blank, every place that's not his body. Then I'm going to invert that selection, and then I'm going to come in with like a 50% gray and I'm going to fill it, and I'm going to come back and look, and I'm going to see, I'm going to deselect. I'm going to come with my lasso fill tool and I'm going to find any little spots that got missed or look for any spots that got filled in that shouldn't have. And I realize I'm going to go back to my line art layer. I'm going to go back to my black and my pen. I realized I did not draw in the back of his robe. And you can't have a backless robe. This ain't the hospital, baby. So all right, and I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in black because I know that's gonna be in the shadows back there. Um, all right, now I've got everything on him filled in. I'm gonna set lock transparent pixels. The little now there's two. There's a lock which just locks that whole layer, and I can't change anything on that layer now, which has its uses. You wouldn't think it does, but it absolutely does have its uses. If I don't want to mess up this layer or accidentally click on it, be changing things that I didn't want to change, locking it is a good idea, but that's not what I'm doing. I don't want to lock it. I want to lock the one, I want to click the one next to it that has a little grid for transparent, you know, has that same grid in the background when you turn off your background layer, your paper layer. It has that little picture in a lock, and that locks my transparent pixels. So now, like, even if I come in here and I start coloring like wild, I can't go outside of him. And which is the same thing as like a clipping mask and stuff. Like there's a number of ways to do it, but this is the way that I tend to do it. Now I've still got my line art layer set as my reference layer. So I can come in and just plunk and paint down colors where I want to and fill that in like uh you know, a coloring book of sorts. And I'm just throwing colors at it right now. I may turn around and change them all later. I may say I don't like that. I want to do it differently. Now I know I didn't get all those little spots, so now I'm coming in with my lasso fill tool and I'm going to come and make sure that I get all that stuff behind his head filled in because I don't want that to give me trouble later on. And I'm going to come in with a slightly lighter version of the same color because I have so many gaps at the top because I want it to be very light there. I want it to feel like his head's just kind of floating off into the energy inside this helmet. And then gonna go even lighter for his eyes and his teeth. And then I can use my paint bucket to fill these in because I made sure to close those. Whoops, that one didn't work right. So I'll grab my lasso fill tool and select the blue. And I'm going to change the color on the line art on his face, but I don't want it to be a permanent choice that I can't undo. So I'm going to duplicate the line art layer. I'm going to hide one of them. And then this one I'm going to rasterize and I'm going to lock the transparent pixels so I can come in with my lasso fill tool and just draw on that line art layer, and everything within that gets colored. Everything that was black gets colored. Everything that was transparent stays transparent. And now his face is kind of hid behind that glass a little more and pushed back more. Um, I'm kind of thinking beige for his suit. I may change it. He may end up needing, whoops, wrong layer. He may end up needing, bright colors and stuff, but for right now, I'm thinking like the main part of his suit is maybe bland and beige. Whoops, I see I missed a finger. Mm, It's your world. You can always go in and change it later. Now, because I missed his finger here, I'm going to have to come over here and unlock the transparency because I can't fill in this area of transparent pixels. The funny thing is, I can make a new area translucent. Like I just painted that with transparent, and now if I come back in, it won't paint in that area. I can nibble away with the transparency lock on by adding more transparent areas. I can't add paint to it, which is kind of nice. Like sometimes when you're getting in here and you realized, oh, it painted in the little nook of his arm with his hand on his shoulder, you can just paint bucket that with transparent in the middle, and now it's clear and you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes it's a pain, sometimes it's really cool and it works in your favor. Um, I'm also kind of a fan of rather limited palettes. I like to use a handful of the same colors over and over again when I can. Um, so you'll see me like using the same grays, the same couple of grays over and over again to paint this in. Get that a little bit darker gray. I like to keep it simple when I can and, not make it overcomplicated. So any chance I get to do that, I will take it. And then like if I decide I want to change up the color scheme later on, I only have so many colors to have to change and not a million different colors and like, well, the red is a cool accent, but it doesn't work with the blues and the greens and the yellows and all the other things in his suit. Like I only have to worry about changing a handful of things if I decide to change something, and that is nice. Right. Let's see what that looks like. And then that would mean this would probably be that color. Let's put that down here. Whoops a doopsie doozy. All right, we're going to go to black. We're going to go up to our line art. I'm going to have to turn off transparency so I can draw that in and close up that gap so I can paint that in easier. And I'm taking a second to do that because I know if I don't, it's probably going to continue to be a problem over and over again for me. So, all right. Now that is a darker color, but I'm kind of thinking of it as the same color, just a shade darker, trying not to overdo it too much. And then I'm going to put it again here and keep it simple. Like I'm kind of thinking like Doctor Doom's robes, like he's gray and green. And that's basically it. Might be a couple of tones of green to make his cape stand out from his tunic, but like it's a simple look. And oh, man, he looks cool. He might end up looking cooler with a splash of red or yellow or green or something. And we can try that too. We got a few minutes here. All right, since we've got this laid out in flat colors now, I'm going to click on that and make it my reference layer. I'm going to click the little lighthouse while my color layer is selected. and it took the lighthouse off of the line art and moved it down onto this now. And you can have more than one layer be your reference layer, but for this, I'm wanting to use that like I would use my color flats from Shane. And now I'm going to make a new layer above it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to undo that. And then I'm going to go over here to that little menu and I'm going to click on color layers because I set an auto program to run. And above the layer that's selected, it puts me a plain layer for my colors, a multiply layer set to purple for my shadows, and a screen layer turned yellow for my highlights. And that just saves me like 8 or 9 steps of click, 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 and makes it go so much faster. And now I've got a new clean layer that I can play with colors on and use the layer below as my reference. So let's see what would happen if we make some of these accents gold instead. And let's even make this gold. And let's see, what if we made this outer cloak red? Maybe made the shoulder pads red, perhaps. Um, let's take like my capital punishment white and put it in there. And don't think it's the answer, but we can keep playing around and see for a second and see what happens. I definitely don't think that's the answer. But let's see what red gloves looks like. Yeah, I'm not loving it, but yeah, it's not horrible either. I don't think it's the right answer. But like you see how you could do that. And I could make another layer and turn this one off and still use my reference layer and put all different colors in there. Let's see what Katie says here because Katie's got a good eye for color. Yellow would make the blue jump out. Do you think we should stick with the blue on the cape? Is that what you're saying? Is that what Katie's trying to tell me? I don't like that. I don't think that's. I don't think that's quite right, but it may be near the family. It's just not bad. I wonder what happens if I put the blue in here now. I mean, that's not bad either. Um, well, like I said, you see how easy it is to change around now, and you can do various versions of it. Um, I kind of like this version to start with, but um, Katie says try more golden orange yellow on the edge of the cape. Whoops, I pinned it. I didn't mean to pin it. Okay, let's try that. Take that color, make it a little bit more orange, make it a little, sink it back a little bit more. Definitely makes it look like it's further back. Um, put a little bit of that color in some other places too. so it's not just in the one spot. No, don't like that there. But I do kind of like it on the inside of it. Whoops, wrong orange. Yeah, that's not bad either. Hmm. Better one, better two. Better one, better two. Better one, better two. And once again, better one, better two. I don't know. I kind of like them both. I, you know, there were times back in the day I would draw one character out and then copy it a dozen different times and try different variations of color schemes to see which one I liked best. I kind of like the simplicity of this one. Um, Particularly against the dark blues with Kaw. Like, he's got the blue and he's got the gold, and I kind of don't want the golds. I kind of would rather go more silver on him than gold, so it would be more of a accent. And it still might be a different color. Like, he might be better going into reds and going away from, let's try that. Let's make a new layer again this time, and we'll start with my favorite capital punishment red, and we'll put that in these spots and here, and then we'll go deeper and darker with it for this and this. And hmm, maybe if we make those that, and then make his gloves the bright red. I'm a little wee bit concerned about his gloves disappearing on his body, but I'm definitely liking the look of that. Maybe if we make this dark gray down here, so it's like a darker silver. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot, particularly compared to Caw. Man, okay. Copy. Okay, we'll just do it. Okay, edit. And now let's shrink him down. Okay, and then we come over here to Caw. We grab him, edit, copy. Come over to this new page and edit, paste. And then we grab both of his selections and go to resize in so we can see them up next to each other. Okay, see, I'm digging the way that looks right there. I mean, both of them have a very simple color scheme, but very quick, easy to recognize. The red and the bright teal is definitely Dr. Evilhead, and the blues and browns is absolutely Caw. wham bam, easy to tell. They've got amazing silhouettes. I mean, they both have big feet. They both have big stump feet, but I kind of like big stump feet. It's one of my secret favorite things that I love. Um, I love the silhouettes of these dudes. I love the look of them. It is so easy to tell one from the other so quickly. I am really digging this idea, boys and girls. The Uncle Fish is starting to feel a kind of way about this. Good gracious. I gotta tell you, kiddies, I think we're on to something over here. That's what I think. I think we're on to something special. I think we're on to something. I don't know what it is that we feel. It feels like making love. But your Uncle Fish is out of coffee. And I got an awesome new character, and this villain needs a name. He needs a name for the ages. He needs something egotistical. He needs something powerful. He needs. Boys and girls, we may need to have a moment of silence because I came up with a character. I came up with what I felt was the ultimate bad guy um, for a side story for Greenzone. And he was, like Lex Luthor meets Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. Super powerful, super evil, quantum powers that, let him travel time and let multiple versions of himself come back so that he could all attack at once and whatnot. But Dr. Quantum was this amazing name that I absolutely loved, or the Quantum Man is also as he's known. Um, I'm wondering if that name wouldn't better be suited here, or if it wouldn't be better suited that this is him in the far future. This is the same dude who was so brilliant and so wise and so powerful back in the days of Greenzone and Capital Punishment and other heroes that you're going to see shortly. He was so powerful back in that day and so unstoppable of a powerhouse and able to pull technology from throughout the time stream because of his quantum abilities to see all things at all times. And because of his power and because of his limitless brilliance, you know, saw the fall of man coming and built this shelter, to protect himself. And now this withered old version of what used to be the most fearsome supervillain in the world is now tethered to this life support and can only stand to be off of the quantum generator for, maybe an hour tops. And or he could expire and just splinter across the timeline and throughout the universe and never be able to reconstitute himself. Like he needs it to hold him together and keep him tethered to this realm. Oh, yeah, because he's old and his powers are decaying, and he's having to rely on the tech that he's built. Oh man. Oh, this dude just became so much more awesome. This is not even my final form. Oh my god. I am so freaking excited about this idea. Okay, I just spoiler alerted the whole story for y'all. So, luckily there's three of y'all watching. Don't come back and watch this show later to see what's going on because we're going to leave all these secrets for the book. Oh my god. This is going to be so freaking cool. I'm so excited about this. And it's kind of cool to have some characters be able to jump from one book to the other. And the book's got to be made. The people deserve the book to be made. That's what I'm saying. The people deserve it. And who am I but the people's champion. I'm here to fight for the people. The people want to see this book. The people deserve to see this book. Your Uncle Fishy has to make this book. Oh man, this is going to be so freaking cool. File, import, image, fish, call. The Crow Magnet. Not Crow Magnet. The Crow Magnet. Because he's from a completely different world, different bipedal species that, evolved from birds. Oh, not because puns are fun, not because I'm an old man. No, because it's awesome. All right. I had so much fun today. We created a crazy awesome character that is absolutely going to be in a book probably before the end of the year. I'm reckoning, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to go very long before I have to draw this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for helping out. Thank you for chiming in. Um, Thank you, Kyron, for loving the colors on this. Thank you very much, Katie, for jumping in and helping with the color choices. I am loving the way this came out. And, I thought we had it on the first choice of colors. And the Uncle Fishy, admittedly, I will be the first one to admit, I'm bad about just running with the first thing I do. And, looks good, let's go. But taking a second to play with it actually came up with something much better and a much better fit to go up against color wise. You made a great decision on his skin tone. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We talked a lot about that, me and Kyron, and I really appreciate having friends that I can go and call on and ask really weird questions of sometimes, uh, and get straight answers from people. Even when, like, I showed this design to several of my friends, as I was tweaking it and changing it, and got a lot of different opinions, and some of them like, no, I really don't like that. Stings a little bit, but I appreciate that I've got friends that will be honest with me. And, ultimately it's got to bring me joy and I'm the one that's going to draw it, you know. And if I love it, it'll find an audience of people who love it too. But I appreciate my friends that I can count on to be honest with me, be straight with me, because it's real easy to make mistakes out there in this world and step on toes without meaning to. And you got to have friends that you can trust that'll be honest with you to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe not. You got to have an editor that will hurt your feelings. That is the number one piece of advice I give new creators. Find an editor that's not afraid to hurt your feelings, not afraid to make you cry, that will look at your book and be brutally honest with you, because there's a whole lot of books out there where they swore up and down they didn't need an editor, and they absolutely did. And, they suffered for it, and they wonder why people didn't come back for the next issue, because you didn't get an editor, and you needed it. Anyway, your Uncle Fishy loves you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I had a wonderful time today. Thank you for everybody that was here today. Sorry I didn't make it Tuesday. Sunday, I am leaving to go see my grandbabies in Kansas, and my newest grandbaby is fighting really hard to get here, so he might get here before he gets induced next week. But she's supposed to get induced next week, so I'm probably not going to be back next week, or it'll probably be Thursday or so before I can get back. I would be willing to bet. So I may not see you next week, but I'll be around. I'll be thinking about you. I'll still be working. Uh, I'm just, I'm also going to be babysitting babies because I love my grandbabies, and I can't wait to meet my newest, the third from my oldest son, my fourth grandbaby overall. Can you believe it? I'm so young and pretty to have so many grandbabies. I love you guys. I'm out. Have a wonderful day. Your Uncle Fishy loves you.